Good afternoon, guys. How you doing? I'm really glad to have you guys here. What I want to talk about is what happened today in the stock market, of course. Well, I'll tell you, if you guys are just tuning into my channel for the first time, you probably don't really know what I'm talking about, but I've been expecting this for quite a while now, me and my followers. In fact, we've known exactly when this is coming, pretty much. Um, the bonds touch 3.25% on the U.S. 10-year, and we get an 800-point drop in the stock market almost immediately. Guess what, guys? The money has moved out of equities and directly into treasuries. This is like a bunch of rats, and the ship is sinking. They're all jumped off of that ship, and they've went over to the life raft. They should be going into gold and silver, but they're not smart enough. They should be going into cryptocurrencies, but they're not smart enough because these are the alternatives to the dollar. They're not even going into the dollar itself and into cash, which would be probably a little bit better than where they're going. They're going into U.S. treasuries. The United States is a bankrupt entity. It's bankrupt. The only way the United States can cure their debt problem is by creating more debt. Treasuries are linked to that debt. That's what they are. They're debt instruments. So what they're doing is money is searching for a home right now. The Fed's drawing liquidity out of the system. This 800-point drop in the stock market is exactly proportional to the amount of quantitative tightening the Fed's been doing. This has been the first wave. I think that it's probably just about played itself out now at this point, this first wave. But it's going to continue to be proportional to what the Fed's doing. The Fed's not backing off. The Fed's continuing with their quantitative tightening. And as they do $50 billion each month, they're going to mount up pressure for the next wave. If you think this 800-point drop was bad, you haven't seen the second wave yet of this. In the future, it's coming. This is not going to end. This is going to keep coming in waves, just like the D-Day invasion of Normandy back in the 1940s. The Allied forces kept coming in waves until they pounded the heck out of the German forces. And this is the same thing. This is going to keep coming in waves, and the Fed is what's causing it. But here's the thing. The Fed can't quit at this point. They can't stop. And not only that, it's taken on a life of its own now at this point. What's happened is these treasury yields on the high end of the curve are going to keep rising. I don't think we're going to get a flat yield curve or an inverted yield curve because the high end of the yield curve is going to keep rising to make pace with the low end of the yield curve. This is just going to keep going. We're going to see the yields on the 10-year probably keep going right on up to, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7%. Now, let me ask you a question, simple question. What's that going to do to not only the housing market, but to all these people who have mortgages and stuff like this? What's it going to do when interest rates rise up this high, this fast? Has anybody really thought this through? Has the Fed thought this through? No, they haven't really. I think that's all planned anyway. This is what they want. They're getting what they want. This is going to give them an excuse to open the floodgates of money to all their banker buddies. They're all in it together. So, listen, guys. Prepare yourselves accordingly. This first wave is probably played itself out now at this point. We're probably going to normalize somewhat. The money has come out of equities and it's went into treasuries now. Stock market's dropped 800 points. We're probably going to start to normalize over the next few days, but this has sent a shock wave out there. That's what it's done. It's sent a shock wave through the system right now. There's a small amount of fear that's just entered into the markets. Now, are they running to gold and silver? No. Are they even running to cryptocurrencies? No. They're running into treasuries. Oh, wow. That's a really, really smart idea. And I mean, I'm being really sarcastic. If they knew what the future held for treasuries, they wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. They would not touch them with a 10-foot pole if they knew what the future held for treasuries. If they knew what the future held for cryptocurrencies, they would be buying in with both hands today. If they knew what the future held for gold and silver, they'd be buying in with both hands. Now, you know what a person would normally think right now at this point? Like a normal person, like this is the way I was, honest, a few years ago, going back maybe, I don't know, maybe going back to 2010 or something like that. You know, I used to think that there was more than one way out of the dollar. So if you didn't want to hold dollars, there's other places you could put your money. This is generally what people think. They think, okay, there's other places you can put their money besides gold and silver. There must be. I mean, it's a big world out there. There must be other places you can put your money besides gold and silver and hold it as liquidity. Now, see, I don't count things like fine art as liquidity. I don't count things like sports cars as liquidity. I don't count things like real estate as liquidity. All of those things are investments. Even the stock market, you know, stocks and bonds and everything, that I don't consider that liquid. Liquid assets is like cash. That's a liquid asset. A liquid asset is something that you can go out and you can spend almost immediately as liquid. It's a liquid asset. It's liquidity, pure in its purest form. There's only, well, when I kind of get started in finding out and learning, when I was first learning about 2010, I thought there was more forms of liquidity other than just cash or the dollar. I thought there must be multiple ways. And then I found out, hey, you know what? There's only cash in the dollar and gold and silver. That's it. You think there's more. You think there should be more. But then cryptocurrency has come along now. So now there is one other alternative. So now you got cash or the dollar, you've got gold and silver, and you've got cryptocurrencies. What happens if the dollar dies? And all of its various forms of machinations die with it, like the treasury bond market. What happens if that dies? Then you've just got two left, gold, silver, and cryptocurrency. And that's boiling it down. That's what's there, gold, silver, and cryptocurrency. And so the dollar is basically today, with the equities going down and the stock market falling, basically the money transferred over into treasuries, and so they're just transferring it into a dollar-connected asset. Treasuries. It's dollars. It's just dollars. It's basically dollars. That's where the money went today. It all went into treasuries. Or a good chunk of it anyway, those 800-point drop in the stock market. Because the treasury market's actually quite a bit bigger market than the stock market. It absorbed it, and it didn't bring the treasuries down that much. It brought the 10-year down from like 3.25 down to about 3.25 down to about what is it now, 3.17 or something. That's not that much, really. You know, but it's normalized things somewhat, and things are going to stay normal. But as soon as the stock market stabilizes and the money's not coming out of the stock market, these bond yields are going to start to creep back up again. And this is over the next little while, maybe, I don't know, I'm going to guess maybe a month, maybe 2 months. The bond market's going to creep up over the 3.25 threshold I told you guys about. That's when we're preparing for the big one. This today was a little shock wave. It was a little wave that came in almost like the first wave of the D-Day invasion. The next wave's going to be bigger. and it's going to be a bigger fall in the stock market. But the stock market might creep up a little bit in between. A little bit of a dead cat bounce sort of a thing. I mean, it's a fool's rally. If you want to buy into it, go right on ahead. Because this is not going to quit. The only way this is going to quit, there's one way, and one way only, that this is going to be stopped. And that's if the Fed relents and says, okay, we were wrong. We gave up we give up on our quantitative tightening, and we're going to go back to quantitative easing, and we're going to start to make more money and so on, and we're going to drop interest rates back down to the zero or even below zero. If they did that, then this would end. But we would go directly into a hyperinflation then, if they did that. The dollar would start its beginning to die right then, if they did that. So they can't. They're not going to anyway. You know how governments are anyway? Do you know how they are? They're so damn headstrong. Once they decide to do something, like if they go and say they take an innocent man and they decide he's guilty. Once they've decided he's guilty, even if he's proven innocent, they still keep him in jail. They never back off. That once they decide to do something, it's like, that's it. We're this, we're that. And they lay the rules down to us. They figure what they really are is the politicians are a bunch of lawyers, and they figure that we have to be obedient. We have to do whatever they tell us to do. We have to do it. So they can make up any damn silly law that they think of. Craziness. And we're going to jump through hoops for them. Well, we do. That's why they think that they can do this. We always end up jumping through hoops. We're always obedient little servants. But they don't know when to quit. They're just like the bully in school, you know. He comes up to you and he demands 60 cents in the back of the library or whatever when you're on your way to the cafeteria. Now you can't get your ice cream. He's got your 60 cents, you know. But he figures to himself, well, that works so good. You know, tomorrow I'm going to up it to $1.20. You know, and then the next day, you not only can't get your ice cream, the next day you can't get your part of your meal. You only eat half of your dinner. And then he comes along the next day, and now he wants $3. Well, that's your whole, what your mama gave you. That's all of it. There ain't nothing left. You ain't going to eat that day. So you're starving when you get home. Say to your mama, she says, well, what didn't you eat today at lunch? I gave you $3. And, you keep your mouth shut because the school's crawling with bullies. You know? But that's what they are. We can't see them for what they really are. They don't know when to quit. They will keep going. Anyway, I'm getting rolling here. I got to quit getting rolling. I will come on to tell you guys about what's going on with this thing. It's coming. It's going to come harder later. Unless the Fed relents. They're not going to relent. I don't think they're going to relent until it really, really strikes home. Until this thing really, really hits hard. And I mean starts to hit so hard and they feel the pinch. And everybody feels the pinch. Then they're going to all relent at once. But that's going to be the beginning of the end of the dollar. But by that time, an awful lot of people are going to invest it in treasuries and invest it in the dollar even deeper than they are now because the money's coming out of one place and just going into a worse place. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.